right. I think we're good to go.
My master.
Yeah.
I come into your eyes.
Okay. Metal tag. Got my list out here in front of me.
With gladness, my soul.
Okay, cool. So, most people who pay attention to myself and kind of the heavy metal VC community that I hang around with have seen this metal tag video floating around. It's kind of a tradition, I guess. Rock Scout used to do it. The past 2 years, Heavy Metallurgy's jumped on board, and Marty and Alan have put together a list of questions. A bunch of people have been doing it. If you are unfamiliar, for whatever reason, this is going to be loud. It's just a series of questions, kind of people can talk about as 2024 comes to an end, going into the next year, things that you're excited about, and just questions about your heavy metal collection. So I will link to the original video, of course, and I think that we are good to go. So let's jump into the questions here. And if for whatever reason you are just new to the heavy metal community and you want to put out your first, you're starting like I did back in 2021. I think my first video was like something similar to this. Yeah, let's kind of get into it, and I'll throw up the questions here or read them off to you. So question number 1, hype. Name of release you're eagerly anticipating in 2025. So there's a new record coming out from this band. This is Vulture's Vengeance. This is the Night Lord. Came out in 2019, I believe, on Gates of Hell Records. Traditional heavy metal band from Italy, but they've got a new one coming out on High Roller. I am eagerly anticipating that. I think it's slated to come out in February. So, anyway, so far, number 1 release of the year. There's been some rumored releases from Evoken, which I'm excited for. Anata is one that I have been teased with. Like, people who know how much of a fan I am of that death metal band. I think their last full length was like 2004, 2000 and something like that. And Swedish death metal project. Anyway, if they come out with a record this year, if they actually make it happen, that'll be like the highlight to my year for sure. Okay, 25th item in my collection. Let's go do that quick, and I'll do a little editing for you. All right, 25th item here. This is a record. I think I came out on an episode that I did with Fighting Words with Corinne, but this is Ancestral Shadows. Woven Mysteries of Ancient Lore. But super cool kind of Necrolord looking artwork there. American black metal band. Ancestral Shadows. Okay. Question number 3. Overdue. An older band you checked out for the first time in 2024. Okay, where... Yes. This came up on an album club. But this is Pitch Shifter. Desensitized. Yeah, we covered this for an album club. I've definitely been trying to get more and more into the industrial side of heavy metal. It's something that I kind of, I don't want to say resisted, but I was slow to adopt. So I've been kind of slowly getting more and more into that kind of stuff. And if you want to hear us album club talk about this record at length, I'll probably throw a few different links in the description. You can check that out. I think there are a couple of album club records in my selection here. So, Feeding the Monkey. How do you purchase most of your items? Like, at this point, when I'm really trying to hunt something special down, it's most likely going to be a Discogs. Favorite distro? I do want to say, like, I enjoy the selection that comes through on Nameless Graves. So I'll give a shout out to that distro. If you are not checking out Nameless Graves, please do so. And this year was really marked by my time going to Vertigo Records. In Michigan, I did a video where myself and TJ all kind of piled in Marty's van, and we drove to Grand Rapids to go to Vertigo Records, which is a killer record store. I'll link to that if you haven't seen it. But that was like my highlight in terms of going to a record store. Here in Lexington, or I live in Paris, which is just outside of Lexington, there are a couple of record stores, but like there's not an extensive sort of metal or punk section, so I kind of have to go up to Cincinnati if I want to find something like that. Anyway, but Vertigo Records was a major highlight for me in 2024. Enigma. Show a heavy metal album that musically is really hard to place in terms of genre. So we're actually listening to it right now. Christ Agony. Can't tell if the glare is catching all of that, but I've been in a really big Polish black metal mood as of late, and that'll be I'll probably put maybe one or actually most likely a couple episodes together for you in later this, I know, the first quarter of 2025, talking about how much I dig the Polish black metal scene. But Christ Agony, like, I'll talk about it more at length when I put together that series of Polish black metal videos, but this time period in the Polish black metal scene in the early 90s, and you would even, I would say, could also group in bands that are not Scandinavian or not Western European. There's something about bands that were coming from Eastern Europe in the early 90s that kind of weren't playing by the same kind of rules that had been popularized in Norway and Sweden. So Christ Agony, they have this like you could call it death metal influence, but it's also these long extended compositions, and I don't mean in sort of like the sweeping hillside kind of black metal, like almost more closely related to sort of doom composition. A really interesting band. Obviously the Polish black metal scene really evolved by the time we got to the mid and later 90s, but Christ Agony to me is a really interesting band just because they're one of the first Polish black metal bands, and also one that's really difficult to classify given how well black metal was being codified during that time period. So Christ Agony, that'll be playing in the background here for us. If I didn't mention it, Damon Sooth, Act 2, the sort of this trilogy, the first trilogy records from this band that are really important. Okay, Eating Crow. Talk about an album you used to hate, but after years it finally clicked and you can't get enough of it. So this is not necessarily like a band per se, but last year Sacred Outcry really encouraged me to kind of venture deeper into the world of power metal. And I think you could kind of implicitly take away from that was, if any of you know anything about me or my channel, it's like I was referring to more specifically the European school of power metal, but it's during the time period in which European power metal starts to take off that you see other kind of secondary or ancillary genres. So this whole like power and prog side of things. I'm talking about bands like Symphony X, that kind of are an offshoot of, in my mind, what Dream Theater kind of was doing, where they were kind of playing with a different kind of guitar tone that was more closely related to how thrash metal had informed sort of like a modern sensibility of what guitar tone should sound like. So you had bands like Nevermore that were also kind of playing in this like power prog kind of deal, but were also heavy, right? So I listened to a few Symphony X records and I haven't really clicked with them, but this one came around. It was like the big surprise for me in 2024, and that is Conception with this album called Parallel Minds. So I believe 1993. I want to say this is on Noise Records. Yeah, Noise Records. But Alan had talked about this band before, and I really dig this band. I think the vocalist, I talked about this in sort of like a genre exploration video, but I believe Roy Khan is the name of the vocalist. I could be wrong about that. Let me just pull it up here, see if I got that right. But he'd also gone on to, I think, is most known for his work in Camelot, which is another, Roy Khan, another, I guess, well-known power metal band that kind of just like a little bit more of the goth thing. I haven't ventured into that side of things yet, but anyway, Conception's Parallel Minds. This was a major like discovery for me here in 2024. If you haven't checked this out, I'm going to get their follow-up record, which I've heard really good things about as well. I don't know how deep I need to go into that catalog, but this was a cool find for me this past year. Okay. Next question. Impulse. Show an album that you blind bought in 2024. This Clovenhoof record, Dominator. So I'd heard about Clovenhoof for a long time, and it was most likely just in context of like a new wave of British heavy metal band that kind of emerged too late. Somewhere in the mid to late 80s is kind of when they're really peaking, and I think Dominator's 1988. So kind of at a time period, 87 it looks like. New album was kind of on its way out, but anyway, album club record, and I saw the artwork here is just so cool, and I'd heard about the band. Between the album artwork and kind of wanting to spend more time with a band that I'd heard about in passing but never spent a lot of time with, picked this one up. That album artwork's so cool. Anyway, Clovenhoof, Dominator. Collective Scum. More than one pressing or more than one format. this is one of like, if I had to pick one, there's two death metal records that I say are probably like the most important to my taste in the genre, and Suffocation's Pierced from Within. So here's the Roadrunner original CD, OG, and then this is the repress that came out on Listenable a few years ago. But I mean, I don't need to spend too much time talking about how amazing this record is, but it's the best Suffocation record. I guess in passing, what I'll say is, like, for a band that is marked for its brutality and technical proficiency, I think what makes Pierced from Within in their catalog also unique is, like, it's probably the one record that I think has the best sense of atmosphere by comparison to, like, some of the other records in their catalog. And, like, I mean in, like, a good way. The atmosphere that is present here contributes to the overall experience of the record. Just, you know, another perfect death metal record. Okay, a Grail. Show off a Grail, something this is question number 9. Show off a Grail, something you really wanted that you acquired. 2024 for me was a big year in terms of doom metal. And I could have shown Gates of Slumber, because that was a record, but this self-titled Minatari record. So this is the OG Minatari record. So on a small label called Black Widow. That was big during that time period. The original artwork, Minatari. I mean, I think most people know Reverend Bazaar, but they are the other notable, in my mind, heavy hitter from Finland in the 2000s that really helps to establish like a formidable doom scene in the country. And I mean, Finland and doom metal, amongst other metal genres, but they're an absolute powerhouse in terms of all the different bands that they've contributed to doom and funeral doom. So this Minatari debut full-length release, I was super happy to get this. They got a reissue on, I want to say, Spart Records, but like they completely changed up the album artwork, and like it doesn't even touch how cool this is by comparison. So anyway, Grail. But yeah, Gates of Slumber, Suffer No Guilt, absolutely could have been in that. But I've talked about how much I love that record, and I think I've shown it a few times. So I'll spend more time talking about that Minatari record. Grail. Reunion. Oh no, I'm sorry. Number 10. A Plea to the VCLT Gods. And so I just showed off that Pierced from Within. The first 3 original copy OG pressing Angel Corpse records. It's like Suffocation and Angel Corpse for me are like the pillars for my death metal sort of preferences, and I know Osmos repressed them, but the album artwork is different, and the color schemes are different, and the logo coloring is different, and I want at this point, when you start to concentrate on like the bands that have meant to inform all of your taste, the death metal going forward for me, like things that I will pick up and gravitate towards, are all representative in some way, shape, or form back to like the first death metal bands that you really like latched onto, and for me, Suffocation and Angel Corpse are the two bands that are at the center of it. So I don't expect to get anyone to surrender their OG Angel Corpse copies because they go for hundreds of dollars. But I'd want them in multiple formats. But I want the original stuff from Osmos with the correct sort of coloring and color scheme. And my nerdy collector self wants that. Okay. Boerang album. This was a weird one for me, but this is like, I thought I got rid of this record because I was like, how important is this to me? And you're trying to like not necessarily purge things from your, like, get rid of stuff that you think is bad, but like, okay, I can let go of this, I can donate this record, like it's not gonna be that important to me. And then, fast forward a few years, you think like, hey, I kind of miss the nostalgia of this record. I know it might not be really important, but you pick it up again, only to realize you never surrendered it in the first place. So I thought I'd let go of this and donated this album a long time ago, but I turned out I hadn't, and it was buried in a pile. Whatever. So I have 2 copies of Cretan's Freakery, but like 2000s relapse grind stuff. Like, what is wrong with me? But like, I think this is the one I picked up back in 2006. I just say that because it looks like it's kind of beat to shit a little bit more. But I was like, all about this grind stuff back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And I thought I'd purged it, so I probably went to purge it and thought, this might be sentimental for me later on. I'll want to return to it. Anyway, I hadn't touched it in all those years. And then probably a couple of years ago, I thought, hey, like whatever, adding in a dog purchase, something like that. I haven't listened to that Cretan record. I probably got rid of it. I wish, bring it back for a couple of dollars and whatever. So I have 2 copies. Anyway, I guess that answers my purge question. Man, Reunion. Name an artist who lost track over time but reconnected back in 2024. So I've not purchased a physical copy of the new Nile record. And it's a band I completely walked away from. Just like, you think you kind of like made part ways with a band. They no longer belong to you. I've done that. I'm old enough now to feel like I've done that multiple times with bands that were like important for me in my 20s. But yeah, the new Nile record I've heard lots of good things about. Esprek Zoller, Marty, and Melanie from Melanie Loves Death Metal sat down and they talked about it at length for like 3 hours. If you want to explore that, but enough people have been talking about a Nile record in a way that I kind of am intrigued to reconnect with it. I heard it in pieces. I haven't actually sat down with this entirety, but I kind of dug listening to it, and we'll see if I actually pick up a physical copy. But that's a cool band to kind of see people excited about again. Okay, Upstart. Name a new band whose debut album really impressed you. The debut didn't have to come out in 2024, but recently. Here's a band. So their demo I picked up in 2023. I think they've since had another demo and splits put out on Amor Fati, but this is Collier d'Ombre, and this is on Black and Green. So flip the record there. Sorry about that. So, members from Triumvir Foul. I guess that's my point of reference on this, but kind of sounds like really early Ruins of Beverus, but like in a bit more black metal production. It doesn't have that like kind of doomy, modern, necessarily all-encompassing sort of world-building thing going on. It's much more like raw and aggressive, but weird sort of conglomeration of different sort of extreme metal genres. But I hope to get a full length from them. If not in 2025, in the coming year, but a cool new project, and see what comes of this band. Okay. Next one, we'll just leave that sleeving for later. Influencer, show a band release that you bought in 2024 as a direct result of watching someone else's YouTube channel. So I'm kind of going to cheat here a little bit. This wasn't on a YouTube channel, but I actually caught this on an Instagram post. Eric Bauer usually will, recommend 1 or 2 records a year that I will grab, and this Bog Ore release from 2024 is 100%. Shout out to Eric Bauer for this one. I talked about this on the end of year 2024 stream I did, or a couple of them I did, over on Heavy Metallurgy first and then Gas Mask and Hand Grenades, but Electric Wizard, Deep Purple, Krautrock kind of deal. Cool band. Adam Burke artwork there. That's what first grabbed me, was the artwork. That looks pretty dope. And music is as well. Okay. Don't judge a book by its cover. Moving from a Adam Burke album cover that's awesome to one that is not so great. Man, this is like, speaking of another awesome death metal band, Serenadium by Iniquity. This is like a promo copy, but man, this album artwork is just goofy as, it's like all these melting Teletubby aliens. Like the color scheme is weird. It kind of looks, stonery. Like the whole font on this, in the album artwork, if you told me it was like a stoner band, I would believe you. But it's actually a really cool technical death metal band from the Netherlands. So, anyway. But I don't know what's going on in this. Don't fool this though. Don't let the album artwork fool you. Awesome death metal album. Okay. Rembrandt, show an album whose artwork was created by one of your favorite artists. Most things, if it's not coming out of Poland, it's coming out of Chile. And this is Daniel Cosuera, I believe is his name, but this is on I don't know how to pronounce this project. This is like a weird sort of experimental Black Death kind of, it's like war metal acid trip kind of stuff, but Quickscore, I believe, is like, you're looking just how it's supposed to sound phonetically. Like I don't know, but I love this album artwork. Super crazy. Poison, Kalinoxia. Anyway, that album artwork is awesome, and he's done a cool bunch of stuff. Like his bands like Mavith from Finland, Godless from Chile, Perdition Temple. He's done a bunch of like really, really cool album artwork over the years, but also I believe plays in the Chilean band Slavith. as a musician, but I think he's most known for his album artwork. I think he mostly does a lot of stuff for more sort of death metal, black metal bands. But this is one from a couple of years ago. The album is a trip, but I mean the artwork there is just absolutely bonkers. Anyway, I think Daniel Desecrator might be like whatever like whatever Necrolord kind of deal, but like that's what he goes by. I believe Daniel Cosquera is his last name. Okay, name an album you would like to see reissue on vinyl or CD. So this is an album that is, I think, only been released on CD, specifically in Digipack, and like promotional. But I would love like a gatefold layout of Spectral Lores. This is 3. Yeah, if I could get like a full, I Voidhanger album artwork treatment of this record reissued with all this really cool album artwork stuff kept intact. Because, I mean, that's what I think people know it by, but it's this full layout there. Anyway, I would love to get. You can do it for Midnight Odyssey. You can do it for Spectral Lore. This is probably the peak in his discography. But Alos, if you're watching this, or I Voidhanger, man, I would love to get this in a really high quality sort of vinyl, double, triple LP. This is kind of a long album, so there's a lot of ambient stuff going on. Anyway, that's my vote. An album or a genre you typically don't get into. So, just like industrial is kind of new to me. I have no idea how to pronounce this one. But like kind of goth-oriented metal's also something I don't play in that space too much. But this is the debut full length from Autumn Blaze. It's I believe a German title, which Dammer Elben Tragedy. Like I don't know the pronunciation for that in German, but like this is kind of a goth band, and anyway, they right, it's another part of the whole metal scene that I don't like. Yeah, I know like Typo Negative, whatever, but Autumn Blaze was a new one to me, and I was kind of checking this kind of stuff out for a little bit this year. Anyway, I actually enjoyed the CD, but I need to spend more time with, the entire goth metal world. The band you hope to see live in 2025. I've been toying with the idea of going to Maryland Death Fest. I live here, it's not that far of a drive for me here in Kentucky, and my sister lives in Baltimore. I mean, I really would love, I don't think, I missed seeing Ulcerate. They came to Chicago, which is not necessarily a short trip for me. I think it's like 7-8 hours. But it was like in the middle of the work week and I couldn't go up to see Ulcerate. Excuses, yada yada. But that's a band I really want to see live. Evoken is playing. I think I have a Evoken CD here. Yeah. This is the quietest. We just did a Hypnagogia album club not long ago, but Evoken, they have like an entire stage that's like Funeral Doom or Death Doom oriented, which might be slow, but I would love to see Evoken play there. And if they actually do come out with a record later in 2025, it may pay dividends to go kind of check them out live and see them play old and new material that's just been released. But I know there's a bunch of different bands who are going to be there that I really enjoy, but I've been a major Evoken fan for a long time, so getting a chance to see them live would be great. I don't know when the next time Ulcerate was going to tour the States, but that's 100%. I don't know if it'll be in 2025, when their next North American tour will be, and how far I'll have to travel to see them, but that's 100% a band I would need to see live. Okay, last question, number 20. In closing, tell your viewers about 2 new YouTube channels, to me at least, that you heard about. So I want to give a shout out to the Ninth Circle. I'll link to these below. The Ninth Circle and also Medicant Media, guy out of Australia, I believe. But those are 2 newer channels and good guys. With, the kind of music that I like to listen to. Enjoy having them, jump on and talk about it. And I think they're newer, at least they're new to me in 2024, and cheers to those gentlemen. So I'll link to their channels as well. And that wraps up my metal tag video. We're done. Thanks to Marty and Alan for putting this together. Just a little shout out to the Rock Scout. I believe he's out of the UK, who originally kind of was doing this for years, but you can go check the original video that Marty and Alan posted for this year in the description, and if you want to jump in and put together your own response, go for it. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. I kind of had a little break from YouTube after the end of the year, just because I'd been on a couple of long streams that were a lot of fun, but I spent a lot of time doing YouTube camera time, so I stepped away for a little bit, and there's got a couple things that in the coming sort of month or 2 I want to get accomplished and put up on my channel. But you can check me, I should have a review, album review for Heavy Metallurgy coming up here soon. And then you can always catch me on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Album Club. This next week we'll be talking about, if I get this up in time before Wednesday, the Slaughter Staccato, Canadian sort of thrash metal. Anyway, that's my metal tag video. I'll see you guys later. Bye.